And we're live.
Hello and welcome to episode 106 of the Fans of Power podcast. I'm Tyler Baker, and Joe Mata is with me here, and Doug is with us always in spirit.
Always.
So we thank everybody for tuning into this latest edition of keeping this property alive and well, and just praising its many aspects and characters and stories and theories and aspects and arguments, debates, whatever, even possible dumbass posts saying the movie's coming next Christmas.
Won't stop, will it? First, let me
Won't,
before we get
won't stop at all. Won't stop it. I saw someone post it, and I looked at it again, like, dear God, this is someone's just
it just
some
keeps.
movie website or some. I didn't even bother to look at, it, but I just
I
saw
didn't
this.
even look at the site either. I every time I see it, it's just like here we go. But first, I wanted to say hello to JSP in the chat room and David McMullen. Thank you for joining us in the chat room. And I also want to give a shout out. I am not going to forget this week. I've been wanting to
Oh
give a
yeah,
shout out. Yeah, because this guy has been. He's always sharing on Facebook. We really appreciate it. It's Daniel Carhunen. He's always sharing our podcast and gives us feedback. And I just want to say thank you and appreciate everything you do for us too.
yeah. Daniel's been quite supportive and even writes descriptions of his thoughts and what we do and things like that for certain episodes. So we thank you very much for that constant support, Daniel, and everybody else who takes time to share or tells their friends about us. And we just want to encourage people to listen more and more
Yeah,
from
always.
from start here. If this is your first episode, that's more than fine. We've got over 100 episodes for you to go back and whet your appetite and get you interested in Master of the Universe and Shira and everything in between and outside as well. So
It's always appreciated. But well, I wanted to say there's, beyond the one topic that always keeps getting recycled again, like we talked about the movie, something else that's popped up a couple times is this rumor of Hasbro buying out or merging with
oh
Mattel.
yeah.
It's came up a couple times, but it just came up again recently. But I never really kind of like discussed the thoughts on that. Like if it was to happen, I mean, is that something you'd be excited about? Would it freak you out? Because the possibilities of things and, crossovers with other toys that they do, you wonder, could that happen? I mean, there's things I have in my head which I'll ramble about, but what do you think about a possible merger if that was to happen? Like what are some of your thoughts?
One thing to praise Hasbro, they don't shy away from their adult collectors lines like Star Wars, GI Joe, Transformers. They cater to new fans as well as the fans who've kept these properties alive since their inception. So um, I'd like to think that Hasbro is aware of Mattel's past, the things that they've done, particularly with He-Man, Brave Star, Captain Power, things like that. That where Hasbro's not afraid to, you know what, we're going to launch a separate line for adults, put them in stores, not worry about, oh, we're going to make it strictly this small. I mean, it's all hypothetical, and maybe Hasbro could care less about what Mattel's done in the past and just wants to use the licensing that they've acquired and things like that. But that was the first thing came to mind when I saw that. I didn't really read the article about it because it was like all I saw was that they were making a bid to purchase Mattel. I'm like, well, if you automatically think He-Man can cross over with Transformers and
That was my yeah, right there. That's one of my big initial thoughts is because
something like that. Not that that's something that has to happen, but
I would love it though. I mean, whether it be something
yeah,
that could be
it would
cool,
be
like
cool too.
comic form or toy form. I mean, like the one big no-brainer. We've said it before, but I mean, I just would crap my pants if I could get a battle ram that would transform into a figure, and a Spydor and a Land Shark. Like they did a cross of Transformer vehicles of Masters vehicles.
Those would be cool. Yes, they would.
Yeah. Oh my god, I pissed my pants. I mean, that would just God, that would be awesome. The Wind Raider, Attack Track, anything you could think of. I was like, oh my God, how cool could it be? So that's what I guess I got most giddy about, except, I mean, besides, well, what if they could possibly do, some kind of comics too? But either way, it would be interesting. Is it going to happen? We're not quite sure, but it's just something that popped up again. I figured, might as well touch on it a little bit because I don't think we've ever really discussed that, the possible merger. If that was to happen, how cool it could
I
be.
just heard about it. I think it was yesterday. I read it somewhere on Facebook and I saw that they had made a bid. Is it Saturday or Friday? But hell, in this day and age, anything's possible. If Disney can buy Marvel, I heard Disney's trying to make an attempt to buy 20th Century Fox. You know,
Disney's
which
taking over everything. It's like Jesus. It's like they're taking over the world.
yeah,
The
of course,
amount of
Disney does work with Hasbro.
yeah, yes they
Uh,
do. They do.
there's all these things could really just be intertwined. Playmates and a few others would probably be the only ones on the outside that hadn't been bought. But I
Yes,
mean, it's fun to think about. But they may not be any. I mean, I kind of feel like if it came down to it, I think Hasbro would be uh, not a bad group to deal with, just because of their push for Generation One stuff for Transformer fans, doing consistent GI Joe, from the online, or not the online, the subscription line they've done, plus the
Star
line
Wars. I mean, they got so
with
much.
Russ
Yeah, you're right. They have so much. I mean, Jesus, like you said, GI Joe, Star Wars, Transformers. I mean, they have
and
some of the
Marvel. I mean, they do the
yeah.
Marvel Legends line, amongst all the other stuff, and they're very they respond to adult collectors. So you kind of feel like in that regard, He-Man, if it were to be something Hasbro would be interested in pushing, may not be in the such bad hands, because they like to capitalize on adult collectors who like to buy anything with that name slapped on it. So
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting if something comes from it
it's a
because
pipe dream, but
it is because it's been around for a bit. I mean, not as long as the almost 16 years of a movie coming out, but it's been there for just a little bit. So just one of those other kind of rumors. But we're not touching the movie because we touched it 1,000 times. I don't even want to discuss
God no,
that.
I
So
don't want to
we're not
talk
going to. Yeah, we're not going to even discuss that. But I also want to say hello to Tom Charlton. He's in the chat room. Thank you for joining us also.
about you.
And yeah, so well, we have uh we have a couple little things we'll talk. Or I mean, well, a couple topics. We'll be talking about some of the main robots in Masters Pop, New Adventures, and also we'll be doing discussing the Mask of Evil, Golden Book. But I thought we'd start off with the robots. So let's talk with some of the main robots, Tyler. Which one, I don't know, do you want to hit first? What are some of the ones that pop right into your head when you think of some of the best robots, in Masters Pop, New Adventures?
We've got your cannon fodder robots. You've got your individual robots. You've got random larger than life robots that get crushed and defeated. But I mean, obviously, Roboto, Faker, Multibot, Dylamug, Blast Attack, the Horde Troopers, the Hover Robots, Artilla. Well, of course, Artilla's more of a cyborg. Um, uh,
Well, Twistoid, you can throw Twistoid. He is a robot.
Twistoid's a robot. Yeah, I mean, there's I was trying to think. I feel like I left out one of the other heavy hitters from the Mosquito. Even though he was created, I think he's kind of a cyborg as well. He's not a robot.
Yeah, throw the
Um,
cyborgs. That could be a little iffy because then you'd be thinking about Dragstore too and
well, Drag
Extendar. And
the human that became a machine, kind of like a RoboCop kind of thing. Whereas Roboto is a flat out machine. Multibot was created as a machine. Dylamug, who's got a hardcore personality, is a machine.
mhm.
He's like artificial intelligence, you could almost say. Um, but yeah, I mean, those are some of the big ones. I mean, obviously, you could probably think of like Bellatron from Disappearing Dragons. You could think of Aramesh from that awful episode Return of Evil.
Is he considered a robot? Would you say?
I always thought he was a robot. I mean, I guess maybe not in this. He's got too much of a personality, I guess. But then again, too, Roboto's been depicted with, you know, especially in the vintage line from various books, he has a bit more of a personality as opposed to something that Man was just created to be on patrol.
Yeah, because even in one of the Golden Books, remember he came from another planet with all his fellow other.
Yeah, and even in the filmation, he crash lands from Robotica. That was the name of his planet in that. So it just depends, but essentially we're looking at something that's is flat out mechanical all around. Yes, the robots are going to supposed to have some sort. Even the horde troopers have got personality at times. So
I like it. See, that's what I wanted to talk about. I mean, because like I said, we could discuss a lot of them, but the Horde Troopers is what always fascinated me because at some point they seemed like they could have been human because remember
Yeah.
they're sneezing, they're sneezing at Pepper, it seems like they're having drinks and food,
Or
but
they're
then
eating
later,
pie and having
yeah,
beers. And,
there,
yeah.
there you go. But then later on, they become basically cannon fodder. They're getting smashed into like flat garbage can lids and all other kinds of nonsense. So it's like you wonder, were they originally just going to be like almost like stormtroopers, like people wearing outfits, but then they figured let's jazz it up and let's have it to where Shira can, kill or destroy things, not kill, but I mean, since she can't kill,
She can
maybe.
actually cause physical damage to.
Yes, exactly. To where they're shattering, exploding, smashing, or something. But I, yeah, I think I enjoy him. I don't know. That's kind of tricky. I almost was gonna say I kind of enjoyed him as robots more, but then I was like, sometimes I don't know. I like to think that maybe there is a personality. Like there could be a rogue trooper with its own brain, its own
I like to
mind.
think that maybe that Hordak used humans and they dressed up in those outfits like a Secret of the Sword, where they have the different helmet with like the black eyelid, the black eye sockets.
Mhm.
Like maybe those are humans who joined up, and then I guess Hordak decided, that's when Hordak moves more towards full on technology. Like why use humans at all? They have personality. They can think, and they can choose not to do this anymore. I create armies of robots. They're
Expendable
programmed
too.
to do.
Yeah, and they could be expendable. He doesn't have to really worry about if anybody dies. Him, even him as being a leader, he doesn't want his warriors dying. So to have expendable robots, he could just mass produce thousands and thousands to take into war with him. So yeah, you're right. Maybe they started off as humans, then he had those, and you never know. Maybe it could still be some that could be like humans in disguise as those horde troopers. But yeah, the horde troopers were, like I said, I see those debates a lot if they're robots or people, and it usually comes up because of the sneezing at the Pepper and then the food and the
Well,
beer.
I mean, strictly that's just for comedic effect. It's a cartoon for children, girls and boys, to see robots sneezing. You're going to see, we've seen doorknobs sneezing in Shira. We've seen a wide variety of talking trees and talking this and talking that. It's, not to think that there's, a human being inside this tree that's making him talk and say, "Hey, let me sleep." It's just no, nothing more than that. I don't. Plus, I don't like. I mean, yeah, it doesn't make much sense. What is a horde trooper doing in the Laughing Swan Inn? Ordering what can only be assumed as some sort of beer of some kind. But it's just to play up what guys are doing in a bar. And even though they're robots, they've got personality. They've got names at times.
Yeah, they
Um,
did. Yeah.
you know, maybe at some point, yeah. Not to say that it couldn't be possible, but I still like to think that all these horde troopers are designed with a certain level of personality, but they are. I mean, like they're all trained to fear Hordak or fear whoever is in charge of them on that particular mission. Like they can understand what they can and cannot do, but they are strictly programmed to follow the Horde's orders at times. Even though they get scared and see Shira or Bo,
Right.
like Bo's over. I mean,
But then they all.
it's overthinking it too much. It's strictly done for comedic effect. When they sit there and say, "Oh, Bo's over there," I can't go over there. I get my ass kicked.
Yeah. And then they also make different versions, like the aqua troopers or
Yeah,
aquatic troopers. So that's kind of cool because there's different versions for different situations that they could
yeah,
have. So I like the thought of that, and I also like the thought of like every type of faction having their own kind of robot. Because like you said, I
yeah.
mean Hordak has the Horde Troopers, and Skeletor has Faker and his hoverbots, and the Masters of the Universe. They have Roboto, and then it comes to like the Snake Man, the big debatable one. Now, when you come to Blast Attack, to me, I always thought of him as yes, I thought of him as a member of the Snake Man, even though the card, his card back he comes on does not say Snake Man, and obviously in a lot of other media he's portrayed like in the Marvel comics and some other
Yeah, but
stories too.
that you cannot
With the
hold that as a reliable source, because when they have Squeeze as a member of the Horde about an
right,
issue like a next
everybody's on
common
everybody's
issue, you
right.
can't use that as a reliable source to
That's
say
what I try to
that.
bring up too. Is yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. When they're having everybody from this faction, that faction, all with Skeletor, it doesn't make sense. So I go by the mini comic because it said King Hiss created,
Let me ask
Blast
you
Attack.
this: what other stories that include Blast Attack have him as a member of the Evil Wars, where he is actually created by Skeletor or Spike or Trapjaw or somebody who is
Well, like I said, I'm trying to think of the other stories I've seen. I don't know if it was something in the UK comics, and I couldn't even remember if in the maybe the Masters of the Universe magazine, maybe in one of those stories they depicted him working with Skeletor. I'll have to look back because I don't want to sound, you know, like I don't know what I'm talking about. But I'll admit I'm not quite sure if in that magazine comics they had Blast Attack, with Skeletor. But no, you're right. I mean, we know the Star Marvel, comic to where he was with Skeletor, but I always go by the mini comic. When you're a kid and you got your figure, that's what most people related with. You got your figure, you had the comic with. Who didn't read the comic right when they had it? They'd start relating, like, oh, this guy's with the Snake Man. It says King Hiss made him. And I like the thought of the Snake Men having their own kind of robot, too. I mean, what's wrong with the Snake Man having a robot? In fact, his helmet always reminded me of somewhat of a snake. It looked like there's two eyes, like at the top of the helmet that comes over, the top of it. That even almost looked like it was snake eyes. But and there's like different versions. If you look at how he was portrayed in the Star Marvel comic, he split apart to where this half, it was so asinine if you think about it. A half of the body with one leg and one arm is fighting this person, and something's fighting the other. But when you look at it in the context of the mini comic, he's more of like, to me, a concussion bomb, meaning he's sent in there, he explodes to like maybe not murder and kill, but basically cause damage, maybe cause people to be knocked out and cause a scene, and then he will go back together. But that's how he appears to me, at least in that context of the mini comic, is like a concussion bomb. He explodes, that's his point, and then comes back. Compared to, I just didn't like that in the Star Marvel, where, I mean, are you really gonna have a hard time fighting somebody that's on one leg and one arm and half a body? I hated that depiction myself. I hated it, and that's the version that would be with Skeletor. It's like I'll take the King Hiss mini comic one any day if I had to choose.
I've always preferred him to be essentially he's a kind of like a kamikaze warrior. Like obviously he's programmed to go into battle like Faker and Roboto would be, but at certain moments you could probably either feel like King Hiss could be watching from a distance and hits a remote, a button or triggers something that allows Blast Attack to, okay, I'm surrounded by 8 evil warriors here. I'm going to go and take them all out, and it just explodes completely. Like the whole point of him exploding is to take out the surrounding enemies, not necessarily split apart and start fighting like Module, like a multibot would do.
I don't
They
like
can
that.
split up into little. I just like he is created. I mean, you can put him back together, of course, I guess, or say the impact that's what he is. He has a self-destruct like Cyrax in Mortal Kombat, like Predator when he sets off his self-destruct mechanism. That's what Blast Attack. He's a self-destruct evil robot for the Snake Men. With people like the idea that people will give their lives for snakes, and like they need human sacrifices and things like that. They swallow, to follow the 2000X canon, whereas this warrior will essentially self-destruct itself in the name of the Snake Man. Walk right into the halls of Snake Mountain. They don't know who he is. Where does this robot show up? Trigger it and blows up. The council chamber of Skeletor's throne. You know,
And that's what makes it
that's
cool.
how I've always seen. Yes, I see him depicted but I mean, to me, he's like a suicide bomber. He's programmed to go into battle, and at the right time, you can trigger him to blow himself up.
That's what I mean. That's what I like too. I like the exploding factor to where he can take out enemies, and depending on if there's like whatever kind of magical material King Hiss used to bring them back together, or he just gets put back together. But I like the thought of like an explosion, and then somehow maybe this is a special metal that maybe King Hiss, found throughout
Or
the land.
when he
It's
splits
enchanted.
apart, it emits a certain blast.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
it's
oh,
enchanted to where it can come back together. So that's why, yes, he's very resourceful and very useful to where he doesn't want his his snake men, the living ones, to die or have any, worry of them, getting killed. So in certain situations, yes, he could send in his robot, explode, maybe even to catch everybody off guard, blow some away. They're knocked off, they're off balance, they lost their weapons, and then here come in the snake men to take up, everybody that's caught off guard from that explosion. So that would be
Yeah.
cool. And real quick, I did want to say hello to Spike or Evil Master of Untouchable Combat. He's in the chat room. He's joined us again. So thank you, because he was here for our other podcast. And he said in his head canon, Blast Attack has always been a member of the Horde. He said stylistically, he just fits them better. And, I mean, hey, that's what's cool about Masters. You can take anybody and put them with, whatever faction you do want. If that's how you just play, that's awesome. But yeah, as for me, yeah, Blast Attack, he's just it's good to have the Snake Men have a robot. I always wanted him to be with them, especially from seeing that in the mini comic. That's where he belongs. It's like I always thought every faction has it. And then you go to let's go to the Evil Warriors. We have Faker, and we have the Hoverbots. Now the Hoverbots, that always looked really cool, but it seemed like they would always just, and hell, didn't they even start appearing in they appear in She-Ra at times, and it seemed like they're just always there just to get smashed to bits, but they looked cool. I liked seeing like that one scene. You'll know the episode. There was an episode I thought I remember, like these doors open, you seen Skeletor stand there, Evelyn, and then a whole bunch of like hoverbots and some of his other warriors. I can't remember the Filmation episode, but I always thought it looked cool as hell this way he was standing like that. Do you remember the episode that might have been?
Diamond Ray Disappearance.
Oh, so God, Jesus, right off the start. Okay.
Yeah, when he's got Merman, Beastman, Evelyn, and then hover robots are hovering right behind. It's a very epic looking piece of animation to have them in Skeletor standing there looking all triumphant. It was an image I found to be kind of scary and creepy as a kid, because it was just, oh no, they're taking over. Here they are, and it was such a force. So, and to see the hover robots, Robot Knights, to me, that's how they were introduced to me. I lean more towards that title too. Just fanboy talking there, but I have a special place in my heart for those hover robots. Yes, they are there for He-Man to crush, destroy, for Ram Man to smash the hell out of, and anybody else for that matter. All Battle Cat's got to do is sit there and snarl at one, and it falls apart because it's scared itself. But that's what they're there for. But they do look cool because, well, plus they can fly, something that the majority of the Horde Troopers can't do, and fire projectiles, laser beams. Their hands can turn into saw blades. They are efficient, killing machines. But when you throw them in front of a lot of the heroic warriors, yeah, they're going to be destroyed just like the Horde Troopers. They're going to be crushed by Frosta, Glimmer, Natasa, and so on and so forth. That's what they're meant to do. But they all look cool, and even throwing in, which is something, unfortunately, we were not, but it's teased enough, is the Snake Men Horde Troopers that you look at the card back, when you punch them, they explode as well. So I was looking at that over the weekend, and I just thought, if we'd have gotten those, were they meant to be robots that either were snake men that were taken captive, or kind of like Universal Soldier, all these dead snake men that Hordak has found? Let's salvage them. Let's make troopers out of these dead snake men that we've killed, and see if we can't have all these snake men working for us.
Did they have official names?
What the logic behind? Because when you see, I think it's Strobo is punching one of those snake men, and it explodes just like the standard Horde Trooper. So Mattel is planning on recycling that same gimmick, but making it black, which would look really cool, with a green, I'm assuming a green snake man head on top. And
was there ever any official names for those? I know that some names of the real names were popping up.
I'm pretty sure for the White Ninja, it was Samurai and Plasmor and Lord Grasp and Terror all had original names aside from what was given to them.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys, I don't. If they were, maybe someone from Power and Honor Foundation is aware of that, or someone who's got some, maybe another Andy's is got paperwork that shows that kind of documentation. But I don't think, as far as those snake troopers had a specific name.
Okay.
But it's curious, because I was just like, looks like they were supposed to be some sort of robot or cyborg or something to that extent. So I'm, kind of leaves it open to imagination and interpretation as to what the Horde was doing with that one.
I mean, no, true. And I always love how, something, unique always pops up. Like, when those images first popped up, a while back from Power and Honor when they showed those Errol McCarthy, all these concepts. I mean, they were just blowing our minds because we never heard, never seen that type of stuff. And it makes you wonder if there's other hidden little treasures out there. Like, maybe they were even having some story developed where they were starting to write down possible story of upcoming mini comics that maybe somebody has their hands on. That would just be amazing if something like that came up and then we did get to find out if they were going to be like cyborg snake warriors or whatever their gimmick was. Maybe they were just snakes that wore this armor where the armor exploded, and it was just like this decaying snake body underneath. We'll never know, but if something like that ever came up, that would just be more icing on the cake because we're always finding these little hidden treasures that somebody's finding out of nowhere that you would never think is going to come.
Yeah, and I hope that's something that Super 7. I know they were gracious enough to do the PowerCon exclusives that came out, with Plasmar, aka Hotshot, Lord Grasp, and Terror Roar. But knowing those, I'd love to think that those snake troopers could be done at some point. The White Ninja, which I think is known as Samurai.
Yeah. What do they call him now? Does he have a new name? Was there a new fan name like Ghost? I thought I seen that say.
I thought it was something that a fan or something came up with. I don't think
maybe
that. Yes, Samurai doesn't make any sense, but it's trying to play off that the Samurai is good, the ninja is evil. We have Ninja, the evil ninja. We need someone heroic.
Was it spelled?
Call him Samurai.
Was it spelled like normal samurai, or was there that master's wordplay with a hyphen, like Samur and then hyphen I? Like maybe he had some weird way of seeing or something.
Part of me wants to sit there and say there was a hyphen in it, but I've only seen it the one time, along with the names of the original names of Terror, Plasmar, and Lord Grasp.
In his image,
I have not been able to find it. I thought it had something to do with Power and Honor.
But he was never colored, though, right? That white ninja.
No, weren't colored, no.
Okay, yeah, because that's what I mean. Because a lot of people just, since it was black and white, just went with it. Like, damn, that'd be cool. We have Ninja that's in a black outfit. Maybe he would just be white. But of course, I feel like we're just getting Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow then black and white outfits. I feel like that's been done to death. But
well, hell, even the Rambo toy line had white dragon and black dragon. But you know what? I love the idea of incorporating ninjas into a lot of these toy lines. Thundercats has got Hachiman the Samurai, and then they had an evil ninja show up in his first episode too. I'm like, I ain't gonna argue that. I love ninjas. I like.
Samurai. Oh no, it's cool. Like I said, I guess if they went with white, I mean, what the heck? I mean, sometimes red looks cool as hell. I mean, hell, I think anything different, is always just, it's welcome. And of course,
But I'm also, a fan. Even though some people may get pissed off that it's essentially just repainting Ninja. But I like to think they would give him a new head sculpt that is not going to look like reminiscent of Jitsu's face, or if they do, give him a different, give him a less evil look on his face. Like they did with that Where's a T, where they use Jitsu and call him Shidoshi.
Shidoshi, yeah, I like that figure too. Yeah.
Which I'm like, okay, I could go with that if they took Jitsu's head, painted it differently, put it underneath. And put it on the samurai, the white ninja warrior. I would be cool with that.
Yeah, if they're recycling.
Maybe give him white hair. Give him white hair, like he's a bit older, or he's just got white hair or gray hair.
Anything. Like I said, if they'd be recycling parts, the one thing that used to drive me nuts was when some people thought that Ninja and Jitsu had the same head. I was like, did you guys ever look at these figures? Those heads are completely.
There are similarities, yes.
But they are really different when you look at them. I mean, they're really different if you look at them. Of course, I'll admit, as a kid, you remember I told you I didn't like taking armor off of none of my figures, and I never removed Ninja's, outfit. I remember I would take the mask and try to peek and look around, but I was like, I ain't taking this off because I was afraid I was going to rip it or lose it. So, but either way, you could look and see. I was like, those were two different things. So, yeah, if we got vintage versions of those, figures. Like I said, I'd love that. That would just be fantastic, along to go with anything they did for classics. But with that quick side rant out of the way, because we love our side rants, that we're known for that. We'll just start hitting stuff out of nowhere. I just want to say that we have Ivan in the chat room also, and he thought he seen. Now I don't know if this was a misprint he's doing or if this is what he means, but he said he thought he saw Slamurai somewhere.
So maybe it is Slammer. Because I remember. It was playing off Samurai. Maybe it is Slamurai because, like I said, I've only seen it once. and I've not been able to find it again. So it may very well be Slamurai.
All right, well, thank you for that, Ivan. I
Yeah,
mean, I did not know that. And then, hey, I mean, I guess that maybe could go with the gimmick too. Maybe he would have had something where both of his, arms could have went in a certain way and, would have like slammed down a figure. You wonder what his gimmick could have been. So, well, thanks, Ivan. Appreciate that. If that's what you've
yeah.
seen, and I'll definitely do a Google search after we're done with the podcast and see if I can find something. But okay, well, like I said, we talked about we just talked about the hoverbots or the robot knights, and then we had Faker. We had the figure that, of course, is blue, and then in Filmation just looks like He-Man, and we've always said the reasons and the differences, but it's so sad that we never got more of them. I mean, we never truly got, a fantastic episode with them. We know that, of course, James Eatock and, Deucin is going to be doing the Return of Faker, which is going to be great. But Faker's always somebody that I guess I used to always try to use my imagination as a kid. I used to think that Faker, for my blue figure, I pictured him being like as strong as He-Man, but he couldn't like be as strong for so long. And I continued the story in my head always growing up. I figured it was a robot that maybe just had a certain limited power, but then maybe after a while the power ran down because I never wanted him to beat He-Man in my story. Remember, this is a kid. I always had to have He-Man win. But I wish we could have got more of Faker. He's a cult character. You see so many people love just drawing, Faker, their interpretations, wearing T-shirts, whatever it is. Faker's somebody I wish we could have got more of.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen Faker, obviously done with the fake He-Man aspect, and then he's utilized again and just sent in as just a mindless machine of destruction, much like the Terminator, where he's given a particular mission and just goes through various parts of eternity, just tearing up villages and ransacking camps and things like just going through on one. I mean, just on this constant mission of trying to either destroy Prince Adam or whatever the case may be, just because of playing up the whole evil robot aspect. Just
What would you
I,
have wanted to see him as, like in Filmation? Did you want him to always look like He-Man, same color, or would you love to see the blue version and at least it's the fake He-Man? Or do you think having him look like He-Man could have caused a lot of unique situations and storylines? What would you have preferred seeing in the cartoon more of?
I think initially we need to see an evil version that looks just like He-Man, but then obviously the mechanics get faulty, or I'd like to think mechanics because I know people once. I think you even told me too that Skeletor, like like this spell that he puts on Faker wears off, so his skin turns blue and his hair turns orange,
Mm-hmm.
his armor turns pink or orange. I'm like, no, wouldn't you rather just have like the mechanics that like there's something that malfunctions during battle and well, like in the Courage of Adam, when the robot of He-Man breaks down, it turns blue. All right. Well, why can't that be something similar with? And maybe that's what they were going with. Unfortunately, they just never got around to using Faker. I think they said that was a deliberate nod to being
Yeah, that quick little flash they did.
Faker.
Yeah.
So why not something like that where he gets smacked around enough, something's kind of jolting and malfunctioning in his head, and everything starts changing to kind of reveal to the villagers or the audience or whoever's surrounding He-Man that's questioning He-Man's sanity. To show yes, there is an imposter running around here, and he's wearing the emblem of Skeletor. He's wearing the crossbones on his chest and the bat logo on his chest, and I think that would be and then he stays like that as just this machine that is extremely obedient to Skeletor, much like how Panther's super obedient. Faker's always there at Skeletor's side, just not doing anything until he's asked. Skeletor says escort General Tataran safely to his ship, or get Stinker Rider here. He's pissing me off, and then Faker just immediately just goes right into uh, I mean, there's so much fun to be had with that character, and I'm so glad that James and Deucin are doing what needed to be done with this character, because no matter what, people still want to see him look like the toy in the cartoon, to see the beautiful blue and pink color scheme that they're going with, more closer to the cross art. Because I mean, come on, everybody's sitting there questioning why he didn't look like the toy and vice versa, but who's going to argue that we all don't want to see the blue Faker?
Yeah, I mean, because I'll admit, I always said I never wanted the Faker from the cartoon as a toy because I was like, I had that. All you had to do is put white dot, there you go to your He-Man figure. How exciting would that have been to have He-Man and Faker, and the only difference was the eyes? It doesn't work toy-wise. In the cartoon, it works because we see the story that's being told in front of us. We see the glowing eyes. We understand what's going on. But as a toy, it's like, okay, they would have looked exactly the same. So, yes, as a toy, I love the blue skin Faker. I love the orange armor. I love that how in that one Golden Book, the giant Golden Book, when Skeletor was making Faker, his Faker, it was blue skin, but he had an orange He-Man harness. So I thought that was kind of a cool variant.
Yeah.
Anything like that is kind of different. But definitely that's what I want as for the toy is the blue version. But yes, it would finally be cool to see him in the cartoon after all these years, which we will finally be seeing soon, sometime. With the return of Faker. So that'll be
That,
good.
since we brought up Deuce real quick, I got a quick challenge for him.
Okay.
I'm curious because this is I'm curious, Deucin. What would Clamp Champ look like in Filmation style?
There you
Just curious because the only thing he needs to create is a new head sculpt because he's using Fisto's body, different color scheme, of course. But I'm just curious, what would Clamp Champ look like in Filmation?
Well, now you're telling me he's got to make a clamp too. He's got to do a cool clamp. We got to see that in Filmation style. So
Yeah, I'm curious just because it's relatively easier for the most part. It's the head that I'm like how would he translate the head using Filmation? So just curious about it. He didn't have to do it, but he's done so many of them. So I'm just like Clam Champ. That's
question: which one would you prefer? Because I love him as his toy, but I loved in the comic where he had more of like an afro. His hair was
yeah.
up more, and I wonder which would look cooler.
I
And
want I would definitely like it if he went whatever works for Filmation style. Like if the
they might
afro
go,
afro works or the short hair works better for Filmation. I'm happy with either one, but I
yeah,
want
either
to
will look
see
cool.
how that looks in Filmation because damn it, that's a character I carry a high flag for. So
Yeah,
I would just love to see how Clamp Champ would look.
yeah, I'd love to see his vision too.
Yeah.
So that would be cool.
Completely side note, but when we bring, I'm like, that's something like I want to see what Clam Champ looks like in Filmation. But
All right. Well,
um, I was gonna say too. Well, go ahead because I'll throw in. Depending on what you're gonna say next,
Buff's
I'll.
going to bring up one more evil warrior, a robot, and that is Twistoid. And the reason I bring him up is, when you think of not only the gimmick of the action figures you had back then for the Energy Zoids, which were made to spin, and also the actual mini comic that they came with to find out that Man at Arms created this gyro machine to create spinning robot warriors. And of course, Skeletor stole the gyro machine and then reprogrammed it and created his own evil version, Twistoid. So he's pure evil, and he's a pure evil robotic warrior with a spinning feature. And that was another thing that I can't tell you how much I played with those energy zoids of just revving them up, watching them spin, knocking down characters. I've said the story many times, but I wonder how that would have translated into the cartoon also, meaning, they would obviously be moving around like spinning on the thing, but then like when they're non-activated, would they take like the accessory that they came with, that pedestal, and have a way they would like, the robots would set in there to wait and charge? Like it could be a charging station to charge up their energy, and that's where they would be stored before he pops back off, spins, goes into battle. I always wanted to see him in the cartoon, and of course see Rotar as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think that that's what they would remain in kind of their stasis form would be to sit in what would be the contraption that from the toy that you would use to launch them out to spin around. But that's what Twistoid and multiple ones. I could almost see that as almost like an army builder almost. Since Skeletor created this drone to essentially combat Rotar with the same gyration, tactics. That when you have a fleet of them, they're sitting in these devices just charging
Yeah.
until they are unlocked, given their command, and then they go spinning into battle. Or whatever.
Yeah, because you wondered, the thing that you always wondered was, how he looks, how Twistoid looks. You wondered if he was supposed to look that way Excuse me, I didn't drink any water before doing this show, so I'm choking up. There, went a
But
furlong.
you talk so much, you ought to know better now that you always had to have a bottle of water with you.
Yeah, with me, I'd have to stick it under my mask. But no, so you wonder if they were supposed to look like that even for Man at Arms, because Man at Arms created a machine to make us, an army of basically new spinning robot warriors. So would they have looked like the Twistoids? Because remember Rotar, Twistoid. Because remember Rotar, he's completely different because he had all that stuff put onto a human or whatever, a living being that was injured in battle. So we really don't know. I wonder, would they have had similarities to Rotar as being heroic warriors, or were they going to be looking like Twistoids, but they were just reprogrammed to be evil as having that Twistoid for Skeletor? I always wondered about that, about the look of Twistoid, if he would have been like that just in general, or would he have had a lot of different looking robot spinning warriors? Because that's what Man at Arms was going to do.
Well, I kind of felt like with Rotar, though, since he's a human, he's going to be the one of a kind, whereas Twistoid is manufactured. He's created from the ground up. That, you know, obviously, storyline wise, we don't see Skeletor go through with that of creating more. But you kind of feel like if that were the case, yeah, I would imagine they would all look the same. You
Okay.
know, they're just mindless machines, all have the same face, the same color scheme and everything.
Do you
Um,
have a Twistoid, the vintage one, in your collection around there?
yeah, right here.
Turn it to the back, because it didn't even look like on the back. He kind of looked like he almost has kind of a somewhat of a face design on the
See,
back.
I never thought that until the classics version came out, where they really amped up the back to where you could turn it around to make it look like it's like a mask that goes over his face.
Did they? Oh, I didn't know they
Wait,
did that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll have to see. Okay.
So you can turn it around, and it looks like it's like the lids came over his eyes and his mouth.
No kid. I have I never turned mine around to pay attention, but did they say they actually did design it like that to look like it was a mask?
I want to say I thought I saw somewhere where that it was because I'm looking at both of these. It's the exact same thing for people who don't have them with them right now.
Okay, okay.
But I never thought it looked noticed anything more than
Huh.
it was just a design on the back, but it looks clearly as if like
It's another face or something.
it that it does. I mean, because he has a human looking face,
Like maybe
obviously
he could see you from both sides as he's spinning. He could see forward and back. Like maybe there would have been a design or something, you
could
know?
do that, or it's just strictly looks like that his eyes get covered and his mouth gets covered as like an eyes and mouth guard when he goes into battle. Because obviously, you look at this guy, he looks like he can talk like anybody else can. Like he doesn't
Mhm.
talk like Dial-A-Mug, where it's just like this kind of robotic mouth moving, that shows teeth and stuff like that. This looks like he's got can show well. Dial-A-Mug can show emotions too. Um, I don't know. He looks like he's somewhat humanoid, but I think we all know
Just all
he's a robot.
robot. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up. I didn't know if anybody really paid attention to that also. But all right, now what were you going to say? I know you're going to move on to a robot too before we got to Twistoid.
Um. Yeah. I mean, Roboto. I kind of. What I guess what I was going to get at too is, we got all these robots. We got to have a robot war, robot Royal Rumble, whatever you want to call it here, and we've got all these various robots thrown in the ring here. It started out with Roboto and Faker. They've been going at, and then Dylema comes in, and then a fleet of hover robots, and a fleet of horde troopers, and you got Multibot coming in, and then you got Twistoid comes in, and you got all. I mean, no one's been thrown over the top rope yet, but what are the blast attack comes in, whoever you want, but who does it come down to? The last three in the ring when you got, or last four in the ring, you got one in each turnbuckle. They're staring each other down. You got Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon are calling this. Who's going over the top?
You know
Who's
what?
going to be?
I could see one cool thing. He could only use it really one time, and it would be picture in the middle of the ring. His blast attack being surrounded by everybody, and they jump him like in how that you've seen in a lot of movies of Royal Rumbles, and then they're all around, and suddenly an explosion comes, and they fly off of him. But he only uses that one time for whatever reason. So maybe let's say. Multibot went in pieces, just flew out of the ring. He just got disassembled. Boom! Parts went everywhere. So he's been eliminated. And then they can then grab, maybe you see like Faker and Roboto. They do a quick little team up like a bad guy, good guy. They grab him and they both fling him over the top rope. So you got Faker and Roboto still left in, but you got Multibot that got thrown out. You got Blast Attack that got thrown out. And who else you said? You said, oh, okay, we got Twistoid.
Dial-Mug, we got Twisto, we got Hover Robots, we got Horde Troopers, we've got
well, you know what? Unfortunately, you get the Horde Trooper that would go running after Faker, like from behind after you just said. The Horde Trooper's going after him, but there's a little grease spot left from Blast Attack, and here goes the stupid, silly slip that the Horde Troopers always do, like on a banana peel, and then Faker grabs him and flips him over the top
I
rope.
kind of figured the Robot Knights and the Horde Troopers would just be walking calamities throughout the ring, where you could take a Hover Robot, swing him around, he'd crash into the others. The Horde Troopers are slipping and falling over the top rope by accident, just, all over each other.
All right, so there you go. And then from there, Twister would be, he would go after, like, let's say he's going after Roboto, and he grabs Roboto. But then, who else would we have? We have Dial-Mug. Yeah, so Dial-Mug grabs two. So again, they're both holding on Twistoid. Twistoid has to go, start spinning like crazy, and he flings out. Unfortunately, Roboto gets eliminated. But Dial-Mug's still hanging in there. Dial-Mug's still in there for some reason. And he doesn't get as dizzy because everybody else get dizzy. You think he wouldn't, but he's got spinning faces too. So that somehow keeps him from not getting dizzy. Of course, they're all robots, so why would they get dizzy? So I guess they wouldn't. But he's used to this kind of stuff. So now you got Dial-Mug, you got Twistoid, and was there anybody else? Did we get rid of Faker, or is Faker still in there? Did I get rid of Faker?
Faker's still in there, and then you've got... See, you eliminated Twistoid, you eliminated Blast Attack, the Hover Robots are gone, the Horde Troopers are gone. From the vintage toy line, if you want to throw in anything else you can think of robotic-wise, I think it's down to you've eliminated Roboto, so you've got Dial-Mug and Faker. I think you've just got Dial-Mug and Faker left.
Is that all I got left? Oh, Jesus. Oh, man. To put them two.
Because you eliminated Blast Attack, didn't you?
Yes, he got thrown out after he did his explosion. So, how would you put the final scenario? Because I always like having Faker, like I said, being somewhat strong like He-Man. Maybe that could be it. Maybe he grabs Dial-Mug. He lifts him above his head like He-Man will, like having the power or something. Then the power starts fading. And then from out of nowhere, Dial-Mug reaches into his back contraption and slams a pie into Faker's face. And throws Faker over the top rope, and you have Dial-Mug left as being the winner because he's got hit with pies. He has a backup pie for some reason that's in the contraption. Hits Faker in the face, he blinds him, he can't see what's going on. Throws him over the top rope. So there you go.
So I would probably would bring it down to the last three. It's going to be Dial-Mug, Faker, and Roboto also. But I kind of feel like with Dial-Mug being the pompous, prick that he is, would get the audience so roused up because he's doing. I mean, he's got the Roboto is fighting like RoboCop. It's like him taking on Ed 209 and Kane at the same time. And I almost feel like just when Dial-Mug's getting so cocky, that's when Faker and Roboto takes his axe attachment, Faker takes his bare knuckle fist, and they both crush Dial-Mug's head right in when he's got that devious smile on his face because he's gloating. He's mocking the fact that I've beaten everybody here, and these last two will be going over the top rope, and that's what would do him in. And then you've got Faker's face, all beat up, destroyed, just like Arnold's in Terminator 1, 2, and Roboto's holding himself together like RoboCop after he's took it, and it's just going to come down to those two, and Roboto comes out victorious.
Okay. Yeah, because you put me on the spot. I like that, though. I like thinking we'd be on the spot because, hey, I mean, and hell, if we were to, like you said, we're doing vintage, in a way, some of the vintage was in my head, but yeah, God forbid, you didn't want to throw in MYP Roboto because I could see him doing his artillery of all his 1,000 guns to wipe out the ring.
Then again, so we wouldn't have a whole lot to choose from that. Skeletor doesn't have a full version of Faker. There's no Blast Attack. There's no Dial-Mug.
Yeah, MVP Roboto would go nuts. He would just be at such.
Yeah, Roboto is Ed 209.
Yeah, he'd have a big advantage. But yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That's cool because we didn't really talk about Roboto. That was the last robot I was going to mention. But yeah, my favorite one was MYP's Roboto. I just love how they juiced him up, from being that goofy chess playing robot that I just was not a fan of myself. But when he became Roboto, those big treads on his feet and almost doing like a moonwalk like Michael Jackson, but having all those guns when he came out with super artillery, I was like, that is a bad looking sucker. That is probably one of my favorite revamps of anything from vintage and filmation, whatever you want to say, to MYP, was Roboto. I love what they did with him.
Yeah, he would probably be my top 2 or 3 because Two Bad's always gonna be my favorite. But Roboto, based on Roboto's Gambit, because I like the chess and the chess playing robot that thinks for himself. I liked his voice. It was a hell of a lot better than what they did in Filmation and the upgrade version of Roboto. And then, of course, after that, I didn't like his voice and anything else after that with Roboto. Even though I like the pairing of him and Cyclone together, that was cool.
Yeah.
But that and I mean, we talked briefly. I mean,
we didn't mention Weaponstronic or whatever.
Artella.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
When you see Artella in New Adventures, to me, he kind of comes off like he's a bit of a cyborg.
Oh, okay.
That he's got some human quality and enough. I mean, clearly he's full on weapons. Even more so than Rio Blast. But I kind of feel like there's something there that makes him a little bit more human, as opposed to everybody else, where they're just flat out robots.
Right.
It can be argued. I mean, if somebody wants to sit there and feel like that Artella Weaponstronic is a robot, okay, I'm not going to argue that. I'm just based on in my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, we'd have to throw in Rio Blast, Snout Spout, Mosquito, Dragstore, Artella, Cyclone.
Yeah, and Extendar also.
Yeah. I mean, that's another discussion for another day. We could do the cyborgs because, as we just named, God knows there's plenty of those.
Yeah, throw in Mechanic with that too. So yeah, that'll be
part of the mix too. Trapjaw he's a cyborg because he's working with robotics. I mean, he is probably the epitome of cyborgs and Masters of the Universe.
We'll do cyborgs for another one. That'll definitely be it.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, and before we transition to this book real quick, I just want to say JSP said that Dial-A-Mug would get a double clothesline over the top rope. So there you go.
Just because he is I know some people would probably say I would have him the winner, but I would want to build Dial-A-Mug. If I'm booking this Rumble match with the Robots, I want him to be the biggest douchebag, like the villain you love to hate. The guy that's just like, oh God, he's such a great heel. The guy that Bobby Heenan would be managing. That's who Dial-A-Mug needs to be in this match.
Mm-hmm.
And Roboto's going to be the Hulk Hogan of this match. He's going to get he's going to be down on the ground, and then he's going to get all hulked up, from Faker's punching him in the face and starts wagging the finger at Faker, and then but they temporarily team up, and Dial-A-Mug gets just trounced because he's just such a douchebag.
There you go. All right. Well, that was our robot discussion of the episode. And finally, we're going to finish it up with the Golden Book, Mask of Evil. And I didn't know if you wanted to start off, Tyler, with this and your initial thoughts of the whole book, parts of it that caught your eye, maybe just thought were silly, things you liked, whatever.
I've always liked this book. I remember it was one of those books that I found out as a youngster and came across it in my local library to check out. And I liked it. To me, I thought the artwork was a tad. Man, excuse me, still choked on that water. Just a tad lackluster. It's not awful by any means. It's not like The Trap.
Just interesting in parts, meaning.
Yeah. But overall, it's good. It's a very simple story, extremely simple. That this is it Irina?
Yeah. Irina
is Tila Ann's childhood friend. She's coming to the palace to play her harp to entertain the royal palace. Orko stumbles upon that she's sharpening a knife. He's kind of puzzled by that.
One of the
And
strangest knives, by the way, you ever see. It was so jagged. I always wonder,
it
like,
was clearly a knife that's meant for killing someone.
yeah, yeah.
And Orca notices it, and of course, when he plays his flute, she gets upset because her wine glass breaks on her. The flute kind of
I think it was the
such
Kings, but either way, you're
was
right.
king. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's my mistake. But
No,
she
no.
gets pissed off and attacks Orca because of it. So Orca confides in Adam that there's something a bit odd about her. So Adam goes, transforms into He-Man, and goes to see the sorceress, and confirms that that's not really Irina. Irina's been captured by Merman, and she's being held captive in the slime swamp. You need to go and stop that imposter because she's using her music to put the royal palace to sleep, which will enable Skeletor and the Evil Warriors to come in and sack the palace.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he comes in while she's playing her music and destroys her harp, and she transforms into this lizard woman, which I always found very striking as a kid. This beautiful woman, and looking at in the book, becomes this hideous lizard monster,
Yeah, that
and
was
there's
freaky.
Skeletor, Triclops, Trapjaw, and Beastman all ready to go, and go into battle. And I like the fact that when they drew it, even the cover, Merman looks very reminiscent of Filmation, which was always striking to me as a kid. It was always so cool to see Filmation references in things outside of that. And Laura Norm's beautiful cover of Merman holding the crystal ball when Irina's in there looking beautiful and scared, and
An
He-Man
amazing cover.
yeah, it's a beautiful cover. I mean, just epic as hell. And you see that translate into the book. I mean, it's nowhere near as good as Norm's painting, but that story falls out. What you see in that, and it's a fun, simple story. I mean, it's not something that I feel like it's not going to change your life. It's not going to. I don't recommend it being the introductory book.
But it's still
If
a
you're
good
going to,
story. It's a
yeah,
good
it's like a
one-shot
story.
story.
Yeah, I like it. It's not sort of Skeletor. It's not Thief of Castle Grayskull. It's not time trouble. But
You really hate that Thief of Castle, or no, not Thief of Castle. So you hate it's or the trap. Don't you hate the trap?
the thing about I can't crap on it but so much because the cover is one of the best of the entire series. So
Yeah,
I kind of feel like
I love that cover for the trap. That is
the cover
amazing.
from the trap that at least I think it's
It's a saving grace for a really bad story for most
I
people.
think bad story wise. I think a friend in need. It's not like any of them are extremely horrible and offensive. That would be the trap.
Was that a hero in? Was that a hero in need or whatever?
Hero in need, not friend in need. Excuse me. It was just a boring story. It wasn't exciting or anything like that. It was just there.
Yeah,
You know,
because
it
like the
doesn't really.
Mask of Evil, you're right. This Mask of Evil, I mean, everybody's gonna understand. You were always looking at those beautiful covers of the books back then, and no, it never translated like that into the actual book itself. It was always done by a multitude of different artists, and some looked better than others. This one was pretty good, and what I noticed was this Al who was this that did the art? Was it Al McWilliams or I honestly can't.
I don't have the book in front of me. I don't know because I recognize that art. I think in a couple of other.
Yeah, it's been in a couple, but what you notice is like the sorceress in like some of the distant shots, she seemed like she has like more of a really feathery type of detail to her. But there was this distinct close-up shot of the sorceress in the Mask of Evil that you could tell looked just like Filmation, like he looked at least
Yeah.
for Filmation for reference for there. But you're right. The story, like you said, I mean, Oracle sees Lady Irina and when she's sharpening the knife, and then gets upset about the glass breaking and knows something's up. And Prince Adam knows something's up too because he's knowing that she's always been against violence and wouldn't have a weapon. Like the thought of her having a knife or whatever, that's something that didn't sound right to him. So like he said, finds out from the sorceress, and yes, this isn't her. And when He-Man does smash that harp and like it started transforming into a reptile character. I remember it's just so gross to me as a kid. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's like a sexy woman, but now gross. But then, because at the top upper part of the body is the reptile, but the lower part you still see the dress and everything. But then later in the book, if you look, you'll see it's all lizard except like the crotch area.
Yeah.
Looks like it was made to look like the dress, but in just trunks form, if you will.
Yeah.
But so yeah, they took care of her, and then of course Skeletor with all his evil warriors, they're thinking they're gonna like now take over. Well, now that the harp has been broken, the spell over everybody else is broken. So now everybody woke up and was able to defend themselves. Even with King Randor with a weird kind of, he had this weird spiked ball mace.
Look, it looked like he was going to try and beat the hell out of the lizard.
Yeah, I was like, wow. I just thought that was like a weird weapon. And like, of course, Tila had her Cobra armor and her gun. And then, but when He-Man gets to, finally go to the slime swamp to, find the real Lady Irina and Merman there, uh, you see the Wind Raider, you see part of the battle ram, and He-Man's trying to, I think he tries to use his sword to maybe crack
Yeah.
that big giant thing, but he can't. And I forgot what happened earlier when Orko played his flute to break that wine glass. It clicked in his head. Man at Arms picked that up earlier in the book, and he put it into his trunks. He was like, maybe this could work. So then He-Man blows on the whistle, and it shatters that crystal that was surrounding her, because I guess it was supposed to be that strong. So I guess it showed maybe a certain type of magical
Maybe it's a
enchantment.
trolling flute.
Yeah, because it was interesting because even though He-Man's sword is imbued with power and magic, it wasn't strong enough to destroy this certain kind of crystal sphere around her. But it took the magic of this flute that, like you said, maybe it's special trauma magic that it was actually able to shatter and free her. So then Tila and, later then Prince Adam can be reunited with their childhood friend and around the table in the royal palace as they were. Oh, and then I think they even said at the end, King Grandor made sure he had like a steel goblet instead of a glass one to make sure it wouldn't shatter. So, it ends with like a little lighthearted thing. And of course, Tila giving Prince Adam a little rough time, like, where are you at when trouble's always going on? So he always likes doing that, or she likes doing that. Like you said, always kind of in a way busting his balls. We didn't hear nothing the whole entire book, but right at the end, she gives it to him. And she looks slightly different. I could never figure out what it was, but when they drew her at the end in that last panel, she looked weird compared to other parts when I seen her. And I think I finally realized what maybe got me was like her hairline, which would come, down here, normally over the tiara that she wears, was not there. They didn't have the hair, and it just made her appear different. But no, otherwise, yeah, the art's different. I mean, like you said, it's not the best, but it's not the worst. Like, you can look at a panel with Beast Man, and he looks real human in the face, more human than Beast.
Yeah. And Triclops looks, Skeletor even has kind of a human quality to his face, too. And
He has a unique Skeletor. That if it is Alan McWilliams, he always draws Skeletor that way, real green and strange. It's different.
yeah, I mean they all look good. It's all. I mean, I as a kid, I enjoyed all of it. I thought everything was cool looking, and as an adult, it doesn't compare to some of the other Golden Book artists that we've talked about. And even the ones we haven't gotten to yet. But that's not to take anything away from it. I think
No,
it's. I wouldn't put it in my top three, but it's a good story that overall from beginning to end. It's not even an average story. It's a simple story, but I'm saying the award I give this book is I give it two thumbs up because it's got all your core characters are there. I think the book was published in 1984. So it's using cast of characters from the previous year, '83, which Triclops and Trapjaw are included in that one.
it holds your attention the whole time. I mean, it does
Yeah,
hold
it
your attention.
does because everybody that you're familiar with in 1984, probably before the '84 wave comes out, are all featured in this book. So, and it's the essential cast of characters that casual He-Man fans are more familiar with. So you don't see Clawful and Jitsu and Mechanic and Buzz-Off in this. It's your standard, standard cast of characters in this, and I have an appreciation for certain stories that just use the original cast of characters in a simple good versus evil story, like this, trying to save this beautiful woman from Skeletor's clutches. Um, that's what I enjoy about Master of the Universe is that the simplest stories are often the best ones.
Yeah, and I always like the combining what some artists do. How they'll see from toy to the cartoon, and combine things. Like Tila, just she always fascinated me in a lot of the stories when many artists would still draw her with the Cobra armor. And this is
And
what
I
I'm
like
into.
it, though.
Yeah,
I
and I
like
do
yeah.
exactly. I like that because it's what's funny is they'll still draw her at times to where she looks like she's in filmation, but it's like when she goes into battle, they put on the Cobra armor, which kind of
Yeah.
it makes a little sense. Like you're going into battle, you're going to put on armor, and that's another thing. Hell, if you want to call out and say something for Deucin to do, like have him draw Tila in the Cobra armor and filmation style. That's something we never got. I think that would have
Yeah,
looked really.
that's an interesting one to see. Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. Clamp Champ and Cobra Armor Tila. That's what we need him to put together.
Definitely. So, but yeah. So well, that was like I said, that's been our episode for the robots, the story. Earlier, talking about the possible Hasbro Mattel thing and other things. But well, before we wrap up, Tyler, I don't know if you had any shout outs or anything you wanted to say to anybody out there, or any updates on stuff, or anything you wanted to shoot out there.
Um, I touched on this last week. I'm gonna say this again here. The Leech mini comic. I've got some extra copies. I've got a set number of extra copies, and I've talked with Joe about this a while back before I got these in hand. We were going to do some sort of contest, and the winners would get a copy of the Leech mini comic. I'm not sure how many copies I'm going to use for what we would do, like maybe a once a week kind of contest until the remaining supply are gone. But me and Joe will talk about it. If you like to get a free copy, I will handle the shipping. I'll send it to you gladly just from listening to the show and winning whatever we decide to do, whether it's trivia or
Yeah, we'll think of something next week. Some kind of good.
we'll come up with
Yeah.
something to help to move this. But if you want to purchase your own copy, it's only $8. And you need to contact Karsten at I want a He-Man comic at AOL.day. That's DE. And you can also go to the Cardbacks Mini Comics and More Facebook page where he's posted various updates. He's working on 2 other art projects as well. But we have intentions to do another mini comic that's not very good, much like the original Leech mini comic as well. But we're going to figure out something there to give out these free mini comics to listeners on the podcast. And all you have to do is just send me your name and mailing address, and I will send you a copy of this for free, just for a listen to the podcast. We'll figure out the kind of contest and rules and all that stuff. Hopefully for next week as well. But other than that, I don't think I really got anything else to discuss. I mean, I always encourage people to check out Kevin Sharp's artwork and his Kickstarter. Check out Axel Jimenez's artwork.
What's funny? I'm sorry. It's
What?
weird. You just mentioned Kevin Sharp. That is the spookiest shit, stuff in the world. Would you believe he just popped up in the chat room? He just
Kevin,
popped up.
Kevin, you're in there right now. I'm plugging your artwork in there, bud. So if you're listening to me right now, just so you know, we're stroking your ego here.
That's spooky. So let's go. So, well, hey, thanks for joining us.
Got his King Hiss print. let me just. I'll show it to you here.
Go ahead, because yeah, you're right. That was weird. He comes right when Tyler mentions his name.
How about that?
That is spooky.
If you're interested in prints or original artwork by Kevin, this is his print of King Hiss that he did. I have this in frame on my wall of his various artwork here.
That's wicked.
Hopefully you can see that pretty good as I'm talking here. But that's just an example of his stunning work. If you're interested in getting commissions and original artwork, and he's a big Thundercats fan as well, Marvel, DC, whatever. You can have He-Man fighting Batman if you wanted. So if you want to see something like that, you want to see Panthro taking on the humanoid from Pawns of the Game Master, 2 gray-skinned guys with blue harnesses and pointy ears. You can have that done if you want to, whatever you want. So
if you want to see him take and turn his vision of what we were talking about earlier, take the Wind Raider and turn it into a transformer and put it into a robot and have the missiles on the shoulders and like spinning like maybe that the grappling hook that comes out, maybe he has that as a weapon too. It's a steel cable and at the end it's a sharp blade. So sorry, just had an idea. Okay,
well, you could do that, or he also has depicted Faker and Roboto and you could have Faker and Roboto in some sort of grudge match. He's done Faker holding Roboto's head, so there's all kinds of stuff. So he's on Facebook, he's on DeviantArt. Check him out. Super super wonderful guy, and he'll do whatever you want to see put to paper. So I suggest checking out his artwork as well.
Okay. As for me, remember, I never promote my customs on this show, but for my one buddy, and I'm still work in progress, I was going to show him that I'm working on his Rocky figure. It's going to be like, it's going to be in the Masters of the Universe style. So I still got some details to put onto the figure and everything. And
looks like the Rocky toiling they did for Rocky 3.
Well, what I did was I'm able to modify the head, but I had to sculpt my own trunks and do the gloves too. So these gloves I got to change up too, but I sculpted the trunks, new parts to the boots, and it'll be Rocky as a Masters figure. That's what he wanted. So the cool little detail that I'm gonna leave is I'm gonna leave the fur on the boots and have that blue, but yeah, I'm gonna leave that detail. So that's gonna be the Masters detail left for the Rocky figure is going to be the fur on the boots. And it's not Rocky like Rocky Balboa. It's Rock hyphen he. That's the way of playing the Masters hyphen game. Rock he.
Is it Rock he or Rock E?
Rock he. So rock and then hyphen H he. So it's like you're still saying Rock he, but it's got the He-Man gimmick. So
gotcha.
There you go. I want to do that for doing that for my buddy then, and but I'd show that. So all right, now that I'm done with my cheap promotional plug for myself, I just want to thank everybody that was in the chat room and joining us for this episode. We really appreciate it. Hope to see you here next week. Hope you enjoyed the episode also. And now I'll tell you guys where to go. You can all go to fansofpower.com, go to popculturenetwork.com, go to hemanworld.com, and on Facebook, go to Masters of the Universe He-Man and She-Ra Ultimate Fan Group. All great places, all great people. So until next time, have a powerful day.
Would you like a shot at the title? Don't mind if I do.
Jesus, I feel like I should have just seen this damn movie. Whatever you said. Damn it. See, I'm going to say I don't know. Then you're going to say some fan you are, Joe. Okay, I don't know. What is it? You got to tell me.
Mel Gibson and Gary Busey from Lethal Weapon.
Oh, that was their fight towards the end or something.
Yeah. When they finally throw down and he says, "Would you like a shot at the title?" I love to use that sometime. That'd be awesome.
There you go. All right.
That's we need to see He-Man saying that to Skeletor when we see them clash for the first time. You want a shot at the title?
They'd be like, "Don't mind if I do, He-Man."
God, they're gonna get some guy to do a really bad impression of Skeletor from Filmation, and oh man, this is funny. I remember he was real whiny too in Filmation when I was a kid.
Oh God!
You're not doing him any favors making Skeletor. Let me ask you this: where the hell do people get this meow thing?
We've said that before. Where
the hell did that come from?
You know what? We've said this before on the podcast. This is the quick last minute rant we're doing, but no, he's never went meow with the MYAH.
No, and I see it so much, and it pisses me off.
I think they're confusing it where sometimes where he's like maybe like yelling where it goes yeah, but that's not meow. I was like, where are they putting this MYAH? I hate it because he's never said meow in the history of Filmation. But sure enough, it's made enough T-shirts and memes and
and it makes his Kelso look dainty. He goes meow. Or like you sound like a 1930s gangster from a Looney Tunes cartoon. Meow, meow,
see. Okay, well, that was our last minute rant. Just when you thought we were done, we weren't. But now we are. So thanks again for joining us in the chat room. And we'll see you guys all next week.
All right. Take care.